Hey, what's up guys, it's Shawzo here, and this is Top 5 Settlements. And this is a series where I judge what you guys have created. There are some incredible builds to show you and I cannot wait to get into it. So I'm going to show you how this is going to work. The first half of this video is going to be the top 5 no mod builds, and then the second half is going to be the top 5 modded builds. Just to keep things nice and fair, and just to give you a heads up with the no mods builds, I am allowing DLC and any creations that came with the anniversary edition, as I consider them vanilla assets. Let's get into it, shall we? And jumping into the no mods, at number 5 we have Lindsey Rose with the Spectacle Theatre. And this is very different and I absolutely love what you've done here. You don't often see builds like this, so I had to include this in the top 5. Of course this leans towards more of a cleaner look, and I'm not totally against that as long as it's done right, and I feel like there's such a good balance with this build. As we can see, there's plenty of movies to watch here with the advertisements, and I just love the snack display that you've done here. And I have to give credit for the time and effort purely just for this bar, as it does take a lot of time to display items in this manner. And I love the fact that you've gone above and beyond and merged the Vault-Tec windows onto the shelves. That's a really cool addition that you've done there. So let's move inside the theatre, and you have absolutely set the tone for this place. It's nice and dark with a couple of lights here and there. You've picked the perfect chairs as well. And I can also see there's a little staircase here that leads up to what I think is a VIP area, because it has its own dedicated bar, its own dedicated seats, and I feel like this is a really cool extra for this place. So let's have a look at the main stage, and this is done so well. How you've done this with no mods, I'm trying to figure out as I'm looking at it. I can see that you've used and abused that pillar to the max. I also love these light controls down here, nice little addition for the stage. And there's also dressing rooms either side as well. These are very well decorated and they definitely set the tone for a movie studio type vibe. And it doesn't stop there, there's a couple of bits and pieces on the outside. So we've got this cool little pharmacy drink place, and this is pretty cool. It's what you'd expect, nice clean look. Got some clean tables, some clean chairs, just does the job really. And the building next to it is a place called Dan's Fans, and it's purely just fans, as you can see with them all moving in here. But I have two questions. Where is Dan and how much is a fan? I'm really interested. And lastly is this clock tower, and I can just see the sheer amount of work that it took to make this thing. This is actually probably one of my favourite parts of this build. This is really impressive. Congratulations on your number 5 spot, it's very well deserved. And coming in at number 4 is Cade Rook with the Outpost Samonja build. And I have to say, this has been put together very nicely. It is hard doing a build to this scale with no mods and making it not look repetitive. So you've mixed up some materials here and there, making it look like it blends in with the wasteland. So let's move towards the entrance now, and as we can clearly see, this is operated by the Minutemen. And this place is very well defended. As you can see, there's loads of turrets. It's also walled all the way around. And it's got a nice scrappy vibe to it without it looking too claustrophobic. I can see that you've used a lot of scaffolding, which gives opportunities for spaces down below. And I love this building that you've done in the corner here, and it's actually very well decorated on the inside. As we can see, it's a nice workshop area. It does take some effort to figure out a layout for a room that makes sense. And upstairs it looks like we've got some spare supplies, and I just love the mixture up here. Moving on to the scaffolding building, I love the fact that you've got an elevator to go on every floor. The first one being a nice bar. It's nice and open, doesn't feel too tight. This really does feel like a location that you would stumble across in the wasteland. And making our way to the second floor, this is for the residents. And I love the regular signs that we see here and there, making it clear what area is used for what. And we've got plenty of beds up here, as I assume there's a lot of soldiers operating in this area. And I love the fact that you've gone for the blue covers as well to match the Minutemen. So let's have a look at the third floor, and it's probably one of my favourites here. It's actually a restricted room, and I'm assuming this is where the general stays or any leaders. We've got a cool little surveillance corner, a couple of desks for making some plans here and there. And it's clear to me that the top floor is also out of bounds, as it looks like it's the residential area for the general. And this is such a cool luxury little pod. We've got a nice little dedicated room for your bed. We've got some exercise bikes here and there. And I'd say this is a nice little room for the general to use as he's passing by through the Commonwealth. This is an excellent build, and congratulations on your number 4 spot. And coming in at number 3 is Triple D Wrestling and Gaming with the Starlight Drive-In build. And already I can see the effort that's been put into these signs. It does take a lot of time to balance out these letters in a way that looks tidy. So I always appreciate seeing that in people's builds. Moving in, we're welcomed by this security shack, and it's actually really well put together with the pillar. I love how you've used the picketed fences on the top layer. And next door we've got some supplies and just where the security stay as well. These boxcars are great for that. And as we proceed, there is a meat shop, and I love how you've utilised the wing on the Starlight building for some shelter, but keeping it outdoorsy as I think you would with meat, otherwise it's going to stink up the building. Naturally, I think you would be silly not to turn this little area into a shop, and this is actually very well done. And having a look about, I always love seeing nice big spaces in between buildings, just so you can breathe a bit. I would have liked to see a bit more decorations out in the middle though, but it's not a biggie. Inside this building though is actually very well decorated. It's a nice cabin vibe to it, and I love the fact that you've used a couple of clean items and rustic items as well. This corner, I think you've picked the perfect spot for a scrapyard workshop vibe, as it's quite grassy here, so you need something to cover that. And you've just balanced and picked the right items for this area. This is such a smart way of using these metal structures, as you've opened up the little pods and you've displayed all the power armors and helmets, and it's just a really cool way of showcasing what you're selling, and the decking that you've put in front of it makes a massive difference. And as we move along, it's definitely a western kind of vibe down here, and I'm all for that. I just love this kind of style. And this particular building is my absolute favourite. And before even going inside of it, I can already tell this is a saloon. We've got a massive bar in here, and the furniture that you've picked fits in so well. Definitely screams Red Dead Redemption vibes in here. There's still plenty to look at, and if you guys want to check out the original video, there'll be a link in the description, as with all the other builds. I really enjoyed watching this one. Congrats on the number 3 spot. And coming in at number 2 is Finding Mulder with the Grey Garden build. And the sheer amount of detail in this settlement is absolutely insane. And I'm seeing really creative ideas left, right and centre that I would never have thought of. And I would say this guy is probably one of the best settlement builders out there. I've seen a few of his videos now and they are absolutely incredible. You have a very good imagination and eye for detail. And this is a prime example right here. We've got a fluid drain tub with a compartment for some bits and pieces. And this was all done by the pillar, merging bits and pieces together to go with the narrative that he's going for. I also love how you've amplified the greenhouse and made it look a lot more busy. And I especially love this little shack that you've done on the edge here, because yes, it looks good on the outside, but what's on the inside is actually really impressive. Now this is quite a scrappy, messy bar, and to go that route it takes a lot of time and effort with the sheer amount of items you got to put down, the little scrap pieces here and there. And you can just see the amount of effort this guy's put in for just this room. This must have taken hours to do. And he's even decorated up to the top, which I love to see. Places that you don't usually look at is actually fully decorated as well. And I just love to see that, because realistically, coming into a bar, you're going to look everywhere, even up on the ceiling. And the most important thing, of course, is the bar. And I just love how you've done this corner with the lights. There's also a residential area upstairs, and I love the low ceilings. It gives it a loft conversion vibe. And again, highly detailed room. And it doesn't stop there. This kitchen is unreal. You can just see all the items on the shelves, and those have all been individually placed up there. And as I said earlier, there's just ideas left, right and centre, such as this one. Look at this walkway, and he's used conduits hanging off the highway, along with this platform for a little security pad. This is actually so cool, and something I don't think I've ever seen before. And this just proves the pillar and the rug are very powerful weapons to use with no mod builds. The opportunities are just endless, and this video is a prime example of that. Anyways, congratulations on your number 2 spot, and I have definitely subscribed to your channel. And coming in at number 1 is Vault Dweller with the Children of Atom Sanctuary at Murkwater construction site. And you've knocked it out the park again, my friend. You topped it off with the modded builds last time, but now you've topped it off with the no mod builds. And this is so deserving, because this is such a good environmental build. Obviously the rad storms help with that, but even when it's dark, it still looks very fitting for the location. And the Children of Atom in a swamp area is just the perfect match. And each shack is very tastefully decorated. It just shows that you don't need to put too much for it to look good. And everything's balanced out nicely. I love this little decking area looking out over to the swamp. And it does take a bit of time and effort to spread out all the lights and candles to make it very fitting with how it all looks. And what you've done with this broken house just adds to the spookiness of this area. And it looks to me that you've turned it into some kind of atomic church. But you've still kept it looking run down, as I can still see a couple of holes here and there. And that's what you want with a build like this. You don't want to block up everything. It's good to have a few holes here and there, because it adds to the realism of how they're living and how they are as a people. And there's a pressure plate right in front of this that sprays out some water, which is such a cool feature to this room. But what steals the show here is this central area. Look how that boss is looking up there, this is so wicked. And again, you've gone the extra mile by flicking this switch which shoots up these cannons and changes the atmosphere. And I just love how you're showcasing the extras that you can get out of settlement building. And this is a prime example of that. And this is yet again another settlement that naturally feels like it's part of the game originally. Now I just want to mention this was very difficult for me to pick a number 1 spot, as I feel like this one ties with the previous one. Even though they're very different, I can see the effort put into both of them. But this one just edged to the number 1 spot for me because of the environmental storytelling, the whole Children of Atom theme, and I just felt like that there was a lot more going on with this one. So yeah, 10 out of 10 for effort, and yeah, congratulations on your number 1 spot, it really is deserved. And I just want to congratulate VaultDweller for hitting 1,000 subscribers recently. That's such a huge milestone, and you should be proud of yourself. So moving on to the modded builds, at number 5 we have WillmaDee with the Saloon build, and this is in such a cool location, and it's got a very cool western vibe to it. And it's quite a small settlement, I must say, but definitely deserves a spot in the top 5 with how classic it looks and just how well it fits in with the surrounding environment. And I don't recognise the landscape that this is built on, so I'm assuming that you've used the mod for this location to fit in with that New Vegas vibe. And yeah, it does go really, really well. I love the items that you've just scattered around the front with the trees and the barrels, as well as the sunset sarsaparilla machine right there. And just another prime example of not having to do too much to make something look really cool. You've picked the right furniture to match the aesthetics of the building, and I love the walls that you've used because they look like they've got old posters on there that have been torn down from over the years. Definitely gives it a lot more character in here. And even the teeny tiny details with the paper on the floor actually makes a major difference with how the room feels. Of course, you got to put in that classic piano in the corner right next to the staircase to play a bit of music. And I just love how this game pushes the limitations and really exposes people's creativity and their imaginations. And as I've said countless times before, settlement building is so underrated. It's like The Sims to me, but in a post-apocalyptic setting. There's so much you can do with it, and it definitely deserves a lot more love. I mean, just look at how well done this upstairs area is. The little casino and slot machines, really, really fitting for this building. Congratulations on the number 5 spot. What a wicked build this is. And coming in at number 4 is Rust and Rads, and that is such a cool name, so never change that. So yeah, with this Sanctuary build, I just love this entrance. It's very different, something I've not seen before. It's very junky and scrappy. And overall, this Sanctuary build is probably one of the best ones I've seen, because you've mixed up so many materials and buildings and objects to make it flow very nicely within this area of the wasteland. Because I feel like there is a risk of overbuilding Sanctuary. You could build it in a repetitive way that just looks so unnatural. And you can just tell this person has a very good eye for detail. Everything just looks like how it should be. Yes, it does look like a lot, but I've always said this, it's always important to leave a space in between buildings. And as we can see, the road opens up across the whole settlement, which just allows the whole place to breathe a bit. So you can clearly see what's what kind of shops you can go to, etc. And I'm thankful that you've not forgotten about the Sanctuary houses and you've actually implemented it with the rest of your own buildings, as I feel like they're just wasted if you don't use them, you know? This is one of those builds where there's just too much for me to comment. There's just too many little details to cover and I can't fit it in all in this 2-minute segment. So I highly suggest you just check out the original video. Of course, it will be a link in the description. And yeah, just check it out for yourselves and show some love, because this is really, really well put together. And I just want to make a note that it doesn't just look like there's wood and metal everywhere. It looks like there's been a lot of materials scavenged from the downtown Boston area as well. And I've noticed there's a few cars here and there, which does add to the middle as well. You don't want the middle to be too empty. It needs something. And everywhere you see, there's just a shop for everything. And they're all unique in their own style, which takes a lot of time and effort to do as well. And yes, mods do make it a little bit easier for you to build, but because you have more options, it actually makes it more difficult to come up with designs and what matches with what. So modded builds definitely deserve the same amount of credit as no mod builds. Anyways, congratulations on your number 4 spot, it's very well deserved. And coming in at number 3 is Chad, with this Children of Atom tunnel build. And these are builds that you don't see quite often, as it's quite linear. It flows all the way down in one kind of walkway. And I have to say, the pure skill of what you've made out of this place is true gamer level design type vibes. Your creativity has definitely set the tone down here. And this just reminds me of Metro. I don't know if you guys have played that game. It's very much similar to Fallout, but in its own kind of style, a bit more darker, compared to the recent Fallouts. And I do kind of miss that darker tone with Fallout 3 especially. It really does set the tone for the entire game. Not taking anything away from Fallout 4, still such a great game, but I do miss the scary vibes of what Fallout used to be like. And I feel like this person has captured that feeling with the settlement building, funny enough. And I'm a bit of a sucker when it comes to Children of Atom builds because I do like their style. It's not that complicated, but it's the way that you present it that's important. You really do need to put the tone in there with the lights and what you're putting on shelves. You do need to be very particular with certain things and not put too much of a mixture. And as you can see, we've also got shops down here as well. And not only does this settlement remind me of Metro, it also reminds me of Stalker. I don't know why, but this shop particularly reminds me of Stalker quite a bit. And that's why lighting and the aesthetics of the whole room is so important with your sort of creativity that you're going for. I love this little communal area with the barrel. Such a nice fitting place for just chilling out, having a drink, having a bit of fish here and there. And you've absolutely filled any kind of space you can find. This little tiny corner here, you've managed to fit a Glory to Atom room. And this is such a cool little cozy area. I'm assuming this is where the boss stays on the throne during the day. And this is where all the assistants are just chilling out. And the level of detail in this room is just pure insanity. I love it. Congratulations on your number 3 spot, and I really do hope I see more videos from you because you've got such a creative mind and imagination. So moving on to the number 2 spot is Analog Studio with the Brotherhood of Steel build, and the concept that you've gone with this is actually fantastic. You've gone for that Project Purity narrative, where it's a giant facility for clean drinking water to share for the Commonwealth. Well, maybe not, we know what the Brotherhood of Steel are like. And this building just screams pre-war vibes to me. It looks like it's avoided the bombs and managed to survive the war. And the Brotherhood of Steel have just taken it over and just re-established it into a functioning water supply. This must have taken you a long time because the place is massive. There's so much going on here. As well as that, there's so many little details on the inside. It's tastefully decorated with furniture and equipment that fits the narrative of the build. This library room is especially fitting because the Brotherhood of Steel love to gain any knowledge from any kind of pre-war information or technology. And of course, with a build like this, it's going to be clean looking, nice and professional. But it's important to make it not look empty, and the walls are a major factor in that. Because you've used the brick effect, it gives it a lot of character in here, and it just makes your hard work stand out even more. Not only that, there's a vertibird pad as well, something I love to see, especially in modded builds. I wish we had this with the no mod builds. It's a little bit glitchy if you try and make one, but yeah, I'm a sucker for vertibirds. It's just such a cool little addition for a settlement. And you can clearly see this person has given 100% into this build because even the outside areas are tastefully decorated with barrels, supplies and ammunition here and there. And this main building here is where they operate the water. And I really do like how you've laid everything out here. It's a very functional room with what obviously looks like operating machinery. And I just love the fact that you can put water in these containers. I wish we had that with no mod builds because you can do so much with water. Now this is another one of those settlements where there's just way too much detail to showcase in this top 5. So go check out the original video. There's so much to look at. Very cool build, my friend. Congratulations on the number 2 spot. It's very well deserved. And smashing the number 1 spot is Samm with this gigantic build in the river here. As you can see, there's these giant mechanical legs in the water, along with a self-sustainable house on top, and this is perfect for the sole survivor. And this is such a unique build that you don't often see, and I would personally say this looks quite realistic within the Fallout universe. It just has that style, it ticks the box for me. And we've even got a hoist to go up and down with the boat, so you can clearly see you can have access to it. And it's such a cool little apocalyptic home. You could make up so much lore around this building because it's so unique, and obviously there's the mystery on how it got up there, how it all got built. And I just feel like this would be so fitting with the original base game. I have to say one thing though, and it's the location. It's basically next to downtown Boston, which is, you're asking for trouble in my opinion, because you could just get a fat man launched at you at any second and it's going to be complete carnage. I mean, you could say that with any building, I suppose, but I just feel like a better location would have done this place justice, but doesn't take away the fact that this is such a cool build. And as we have a closer look, you can see that this place is ultra detailed with so many bits and pieces. You've basically managed to fit everything on here to be self-sustainable, and I have to give you mad respect for that because the platform isn't that big and you've done so much with it. As you can see on the inside, we've got a nice little shower area and it's functional, which is pretty cool. And I love the kitchen area next to it as well. I love the old style you've gone for. It's all nice and wood with different tones here and there. And most importantly, your clutter decorations is spot on. Everything just looks so lived in. It's amazing how much you've squeezed in this little cabin. I would be very interested to see what's in that terminal because there might be some information on how this structure got built. And generally speaking, I would love to download this for myself to put in my own game, and I wish more builders would do that. And I'm sure a lot of you probably don't know how to do that, so I was thinking maybe in the future I might do a tutorial on how to upload your settlements as mods, because there's builds out there such as this one that it's just, you can't not put that in your game. It's so cool. Anyways, congratulations on the #1 spot. This is truly incredible. As you know, the next episode will be the last, so get your submissions in and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.